Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
There's something that you should be doing that can really change your life, make things so much better. Many of us don't do this. We overlook it. We deep down inside know we should be doing it, but life, family, responsibility gets in the way. But if you're not doing this, you're not helping others as well. I'm talking about self-care, taking care of yourself. We don't do it for many different reasons. And we're going to dig into that today with somebody who is the owner of Pathways for Wellness, spiritual and addiction recovery coach is who she is. Debbie Peters joins us. Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Hi, Steve. I'm good. How are you?
I'm going to go right there. What did you do for self-care today?
I actually did a little bit of meditating this morning. I put on some soft music and just said, this is going to be a good day. I am not going to let anything toxic bother me, let anybody get under my skin. And just, I felt really good. I felt really good. And it only takes 5 or 10 minutes to just ground yourself and practice a little self-care. Because I think there's a lot of confusion, when, it sounds like, because self-care encompasses so much that it could be overwhelming for people, but it could be just something so small that you could do for yourself.
It could be a cup of coffee and quiet. It could be
absolutely.
And it's so funny you said that because I'm always transparent. Had a situation last night. I am always about doing the right thing. Somebody wasn't going to do the right thing, got under my skin because of that. Just a situation. And because of it, I was up later, didn't sleep as great as I normally do. And my self-care today was I had a window and I said, you know what? I'm going to do what you just said. And on the back end, I said, you know what? If I fall asleep, I'm going to sleep for a half hour. I'm going to just, recharge. And I did. Feel great. But yeah, it's those little things that we don't do. Do you feel that a lot of us don't do the self-care that we should do or need because we feel guilty?
Absolutely. Like you were saying, life, we're so busy doing things and taking care of other people and, working. Some people work 2, some people work 3 jobs, and feel that, they have to do this. And how do I have time? I don't have time to practice anything. I don't have time to sit down and have a cup of coffee. I don't have time, 5 minutes to go for a walk or have break. So people do feel guilty. It's so funny. So I heard somebody saying that every once in a while they take a mental health day from work. Honestly, I think that should be something that like everybody is entitled to.
It should be in the company handbook. You're entitled to X amount of mental health days, and however you want to define the mental health day. For me, I haven't gone so far this year, and it's driving me crazy because I haven't taken the time. But I love to kayak, and I got to get out. Maybe later this week if the weather supports it. But it's whatever it is. Whatever makes you feel good, you should do it. But yeah, I agree with you. It should be standard in any job.
Yeah, because you don't want to use a sick day because sick days are for when you're not feeling well.
Right.
A mental health day, it could just, doesn't mean that you're not necessarily feeling well. You just need time to regroup, to ground, and just take time for yourself. But if you can't do that, again, like you said, having a cup of coffee. I was reading somewhere about turning off the music in the car and just enjoying the ride, like really paying attention and being mindful. And every once in a while now, because I'm like, I got to turn on the radio, and the music, even though it's music that I enjoy listening to, can be irritating. And I'm like, I just want quiet. And I just try to focus on driving to work, being in the present moment. And that's even, practicing self-care, because you're bringing yourself back to where you are. And, when you practice self-care too, it lowers your blood pressure, and it has a lot of healthy benefits.
I I truly believe that when you say about the lowering the music and facing yourself, that we're afraid to do it. A lot of us are. We're afraid to face ourselves because we know what the answers are, what our challenges are, or what we're struggling with, and we don't want to go there. Uh, what are your thoughts on that?
That's a whole other topic.
Okay.
uh so I'm just trying to think here. Um, you
Like
don't
for
like people.
example, I'll get us. I'll pull us even in closer. Um, I've got a friend. She's always busy. She's always buzzing around. She's always got this going on. She's always connecting people. She's running herself thin. But I think she's afraid to confront challenges in her life and in herself and deal with those. And it could be anything. Could be, maybe you had a trauma in your past, even as a kid, and these things are sitting out there, but you keep yourself busy. And so you're not taking self-care. You're not taking that time to get within yourself and listen to yourself. Like you can't listen to yourself, your thoughts or anything like that when you're in the car listening to music. Love music myself. And it's almost hard to shut it off because you like to get into
I
a
know
rhythm when you're
exactly.
driving.
Yeah, those are all distractions. You need a
Yes.
distraction, whether it's music, whether it's keeping busy, because the
Yes.
minute you sit down and stop, all these thoughts start
Yes.
rushing into your head and you start thinking about them. And those thoughts, and when you start to think, you become overwhelmed. So it's just a lot easier to have so many distractions. And that's why people pick up and, use substances too,
Yes.
because they don't know how to deal. I shouldn't say deal. They don't know how to address the
Mm,
things that are, obstacles that are in their way. I will say, years ago, it was very hard for me to pick up a book and read,
me too.
or just sit there in quiet. And I started focusing. I started reading books, listening to, Googling different things on practicing self care. And then I had gone to hypnotherapy. And
Mm,
when I started incorporating all these, and that could be self-care too, is, if you don't know where to start, um, talk
mm,
to someone and find out, because what's good for one person may not be good for another. But when you start to address, like you were saying, things from the past, things that are bothering you, or things that you just don't want to, deal with, um, when you start to focus on them and start addressing them, it's a freeing feeling. And I'm not saying it happens overnight, or this is something that happens, it's different for everybody.
yeah.
But I think, the most, so now I can sit and appreciate, reading a book. And yes, there are times I'll go to sit and it's like, it's too quiet. It's too quiet. Really should be doing the laundry. I should be unloading the dishwasher. I
Yeah.
should be writing out bills. And then I say to myself, and I think this is really, really important,
Mm,
no matter what, is to stop for a minute. You just have to stop and say, does that laundry need to be folded at this very minute? Can it wait 5 minutes? Can it wait 10 minutes? And usually the answer is yes. So when you stop yourself, just to just to think a minute about, um waiting, or pausing is another good word, uh that really helps out a lot.
even just to stop and breathe, to take that time. And it's so funny what you
Mm-hmm.
just said about reading books. I don't have the patience. And I bought a book first time in a long time, not too long ago, and it's about manifestation. And I played tennis with my daughter last night, and it was actually in the trunk of my car. because I got my tennis racket. I'm like, yeah, just got this book. It's really cool. And she's into that stuff too. And I said last night I was going to sit down. Still haven't done it. And I bought that book for myself on Father's Day. And that, for like a month ago.
What's the name of it?
Manifestation 369.
Okay. Oh, I have that book.
Do you really?
It's got a purplish cover.
I want to say, yeah.
Or and it's got like little white twinkly, I want to say it looks like little stars on the front.
I want to say so, yeah. It's a call it a paperback book. A paperback, but about like that big.
And does it have a journal where you start writing down things?
That'd be it.
Okay. I started that book too.
How come you didn't finish it?
Well, I want to reread it before I start journaling, because what that book made me realize after reading it, it was so, I want to use the word powerful. And it hit me like, that's where I also learned how to pause. And I just took all the information in, because I also and I will say, one of my, obstacles was, I'll start something and I'm like, I gotta go, I gotta finish it, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And then I don't finish, I don't complete, say the goal. Where with that book, it helps you to manifesting. And I didn't want to set myself up for failure. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take my time.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it. It meant so much that I would like to reread it again. Wow. And then start. And I did not, I wasn't hard on myself. Like, oh, you said you were going to read it and you didn't finish it. You didn't start the journal. And I said, no, because I'm going to set myself up for failure. If I
think
don't.
That's me. And by the way, I don't know if you could see it, but it's called Project.
That's it.
Yeah. And you're spot on with the twinklies or the stars, and there is some purple in the Milky Way. But I think I thumb through it, and sometimes it gets a little deep, and I'm like, I say to myself, I need to be in a zone. I need to block everything out, sit on a chair on the deck or something like that, and really focus and apply myself. And I've been too scattered and have stuff going on. But bottom line comes back to what you're saying. I don't want to fail at that book. I want it to, it's such a bestseller, and it's got to be for a reason that I want it to work for me. I don't want to fail. Same exact thing. Same exact thing.
So maybe start off, maybe make a commitment to read a chapter, or read a couple of pages and then say, okay, I completed this goal. I did, because then you're not setting yourself up to fail. Maybe it's one page, that's what we talk about, even just being mindful and even and breathing, just take a minute. Even if if someone doesn't have 5 minutes, I'm sure you can find 1 minute somewhere in the day to just stop what you're doing, focus on your breath, focus on what's around you, whether you're inside. If you're inside, find something to focus on. I joke sometimes, because I've shared how I used to run a 3-hour intensive outpatient group. And I'd say, look at the rug on the floor, and we'd spend a couple of minutes in silence, and you could see people were, jittery because they have a hard time sitting still. And I just focus on the rug, and then we're going to come back and you're going to tell me what you saw. And that rug, because it had multicolors, people saw gray, and we all shared, what did you see? How do you think, and we talk about the 5 senses, if the rugs, if you could smell it, what would it smell like? What's the texture? And as you start to pick apart something, you distract yourself because now you're focusing on that specific thing. You could you could do it with a piece of paper. Take out a piece of paper because every paper isn't the same. Is it loose leaf paper? Is it lined paper? Is it, is it colored paper? Is it thick? So you could probably spend more than a minute just focusing on an object and creating the five senses. And just I encourage people to try it, and it sounds silly, but
No, I got you. I got you because it forces you to focus and block the other stuff out because you're looking at one thing, and we don't look at all those things. Do we take a walk? How many people do this? Take a walk in silence and look around. Wow, look at the way that leaf is shaped. Wow, there's a berry hanging off that tree. Wow, look at that. We don't do it. We're just like blah, 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 move, 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 move. And that's why we have so many challenges today. I gotta
and I
believe.
had someone say to me, well, I don't have a lot of trees in my area. And I said, okay, well, where do you live? And there happened to be a lot of traffic. So listen to the traffic. Can you pick out a truck? Close your, if you're in a safe spot, of course. You know, can you imagine what is that truck? Is it a big is it a tractor trailer? Is it a pickup truck? Is it a motorcycle? And when you again start to hear noises and focus on that, it distracts you from all that other busyness that's going on. And it's so you can do this anywhere.
Mm.
And after you practice it, because I've had people think it was ridiculous. Oh, that's, and again, not for everyone, but it does work, and it's practice. It's not, the first time you do it, oh my gosh, I couldn't, that didn't work. You have to do it more than once.
It's a wake up. It's a wake up to life because we're always running so fast and we never take the time to see those things in life. And I can pivot here in a totally different direction, but I believe that there are things placed in our lives for a reason. It may be a clue, a symbol, something, a sign from somebody that passed on, whatever you want to believe. You're not going to see any of that unless you take the time to look.
I agree with you 100%. It's true. Uh, there's I don't believe it. I don't believe in coincidences. I
Same.
think things happen for a reason. You're given an obstacle. Don't think of it, think of it as like, I was again reading a book somewhere and they said, instead of thinking it of like a problem, think of it as a challenge.
Yeah.
So you learn to work through it. So how can you, instead of, butting yourself up, your head up against a wall, all right, take some time to think about it and what can you do to overcome that challenge. And if it's reaching out to other people for help, then reach out to other people for help. It's so important to have supportive people, around you. And if somebody isn't supportive, well, then you might not, again, want them in your circle.
Well, then they don't serve you. And I'll never forget a friend of mine. I've known her since I was 17. And we just text. We see each other maybe once every couple of years, actually. She's a therapist and I bounce things off of her. I'll never forget a few years ago, she pointed out some people in my life and she said, you know what? They don't serve you anymore. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, that sounds dirty. Like, I'm the king on the hill and these people don't serve me. But no, we grew in different directions and it's time to move on from them. So to your point, Debbie, identify those people that aren't supporting you like they should be supporting you. And I guess that comes back to self-care.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly. Because you're taking care of yourself. And it doesn't mean that you don't necessarily, you don't have to not care about these individuals anymore.
Sure.
It's just that they're not helping you to take care of yourself. And it's hard. I've worked on so many things for many years, but you never can stop learning. We'll always have a challenge. We'll always have something. And to me, it's just, certain things that have happened in my life. Somebody said to me, think about it as a blessing, because you wouldn't be the person you are today if those things didn't happen. And I said, wow, never thought of it that way. So instead of being angry at someone and resentments and because what does that do? That makes us sick inside. And it's not healthy for us, for our health and well-being. Is just say, again, we've talked about forgiveness in the past.
Mhm.
Forgive that person and just, you're not the type of person you are today. If that didn't happen, because
Yeah.
I've grown so much, and some of the things and the challenge and adversities that I've had, I can help other people because I can identify. Can't tell somebody what to do, but if I feel it's appropriate, I'll share, with them and offer them support.
And that wouldn't have happened unless you went through challenges yourself to see
Absolutely.
life on both sides. And it's funny, I just got a flash in my head based on what we're talking about. I used to think about going to the doctor, any doctor, whatever it might be. Oh, I gotta go to the doctor. All right, whatever. I'm gonna show up. Blah, blah. Now I flipped it around. Yeah, can't wait to go to the doctor. I'm taking care of myself. That's awesome. Fantastic. Go to the eye doctor. All right. Now I know, my eyes are a certain way, whether I need glasses, change the prescription, whatever doctor it might be, because it's part of self-care, looking at it in a different way, not a burden, but a plus that you're doing something for yourself.
And what do they say, that there's a saying about there's nothing more harm, something like fear except fear itself? Because if someone's afraid to go to the doctor, there's a really good chance that what you're afraid of finding out probably isn't true. We've talked, like things that
Yeah.
we worry about don't come
Yeah.
true.
Yep.
Um,
I think the number's like 93%, and they do this research every few years that 93% of the things that we worry about never transpire, never come true. You wasted your time, you wasted energy and all of it. But we do. We worry, we fear.
and if something does come to fruition that you don't want, there's ways to address it. The
Mm-hmm.
whole other topic, and there are, again, there's doctors, there's medical, people out there that can help and assist people with that. Because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a licensed, practitioner
Sure.
in the medical field. But there's just so much available for people out there.
It's all in the way you look at it. It's in the perspective of what it might be. And that comes in different ways too, in how you deal with people in their recovery, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, every, I can't stress enough that everybody
Hmm.
is at a different point in their recovery, and reaching out, having supportive people around you, being kind and gentle with yourself, because you can't compare yourself to someone else, and no one else should be comparing their self to you. And again, that's part of self-care too, is you're an individual. Focus on what's best for you, what serves you, and reach out for help. Reaching out for help is not a weakness, it's a strength. It
Mm.
shows that you care about yourself and you want to do something to help yourself. So many times I hear, oh no, I can't, I have to do this by myself. I can't that's a weakness. It doesn't show that I'm strong. And that is so not true. That is so not true. And I would tell people in my groups that they have, for the things that they learned, and took the time again to practice self-care, they have more knowledge than a lot of people out in the general public, because if they're utilizing all the tools that they've learned, they have so much more under their belt than a lot of people. And they would sit there and be, they'd realize that wow, we have this, and they're taking the time to take care of their self.
How do we find you, Debbie?
My website is pathwaysforwellness.com. My email is info@pathwaysforwellness.com, and my phone number is 631-926-2362.
Always great talking with you. I hate this. I hate to use the word hate, but I hate that we're out of time because I'm going longer.
I'll be back.
and I have a mission, and I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm manifesting this at this moment. I am going to start that book tonight. I'm doing it. I'm setting aside the time. I am going to do it. Even if it's only 5 pages, I am getting into that book
and
tonight.
Start it. That's all you can do. You got to just start somewhere.
I have a feeling that I'm going to get sucked into that book too. So, we'll
have to share our thoughts about it.
Just going to say that. Thank you so much for being here.
All right.
And we'll talk soon. Thanks, Deb.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.